recording. Okay, so today Rita has graciously offered to lead our emotional clearing process, and I'm quite loving the, oops, I do not want to share. I want to see my chat box. I'm quite loving the, we all support each other as we go through this crazy time. Let me get the chat box up. And then let's just see where it goes from there. I know for myself, a few minutes before the call, I was like, oh, right, that whole spreadsheet thing. And for me, it actually is like helpful, even though I don't feel like I'm really paying attention to it. It feels like a little grounding touchstone for me to kind of take a look at the week before and the week coming. And if it's not helpful for you right now, I'd say just skip it. But we'll have some time to check in with everyone and just see what each person needs and what would be most helpful today. So I think my screen is all ready to go. So let's unmute our Rita. Hello there.
Hi, darling. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Sorry to hear about your overflow problems.
Thank you.
Some good pooping going on over there.
Yes, we just finally figured it out. It's not because I built my office. It's because when they built this place, they did it in a very Colorado cowboy way, and they did not use the right piping. So we have inherited
Little pipes.
I don't know
And
if
the
the pipes
yours
are too
need
little. They're
big
just,
pipes.
yeah, apparently. Apparently they're not high quality, so they have now buckled. Jamie is not happy with his East Coast contractor. Why don't people just build things right the first time?
First time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm going to suggest that we
I'll have to light a candle in spirit because I'm at my parents' house and I don't have.
You don't have your supplies.
No.
You can do that. You are a bright light. You are a bright flame, as you are.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So just a little intro to what I'd like to share with you today as we continue our journey into the unknown, our most glorious dance with the unknown that obviously in some ways we've all said yes to, though we may be kicking and screaming in some ways. These opportunities are here. So first we're going to do a little breath centering, and then I'm going to share a mantra, very, very simple, 2 words, kind of mantra I can remember.
Is it in English?
I will give you a Hindu option or an English option.
Okay.
I guess it would be Hindi and English. Sanskrit and English is what I heard. Okay, I got it clear.
In some language, it will be fine.
Yeah, a language other than what we are most familiar with, perhaps. So please just go ahead and get comfortable and close your eyes. And we always begin by connecting with the breath. Since it is already flowing rhythmically through your body, it's so easy. We just put our attention there. And the breath creates a beautiful wave. And the more able we are just to drop into that wave of rhythm and movement, automatically the breath will slow, or at least let's perhaps suggest our attention slows, our thinking slows, and it meets the breath where it is. And now I'd like you to get a very, very strong sense of where your feet are. And making a very clear intention to connect your feet to the Mother Earth. If you're sitting on them, then you're just going to connect your bottom to the Mother Earth. And I'm on a second story here, so I will just draw imaginary lines down into the ground of our being. Each breath you take, you let go and relax even more. Each breath you take, you amplify the connection we have with this divine, nurturing, eternal Mother. You can imagine, in fact, drawing up energy from these feet that are firmly connected. And I'd like you to imagine that you're drawing up this grounded energy all the way up through your legs and thighs, and it's landing right in your womb. So you're noticing a very strong sensation, image, feeling, whatever your language is accustomed to, but an activation of this connection between breath, earth, and now womb. And for now, imagining, feeling, locating your breath in your womb. So each in-breath you draw up from that deepest part of yourself. And each out-breath, we practice a letting go. Each in-breath is a gathering, a reconnecting, and each out-breath is a release. And as we all know, there's innumerable things to release these days. The exhale becomes a very powerful ally in clearing away what may have captured our attention. In-breath is the place where we reset our attention deep within the feeling body of the womb, the feminine. Feel yourself anchored in the seat you're sitting in. very present. This time calls for very present and committed humans. Committed to being here no matter the danger, no matter the threat, no matter what it is that's happening around us. This day, sitting here strongly in our wombs, we make the commitment to be here. As witness, and perhaps your commitment goes even further. But since this isn't the first time that we've been sitting in the middle, a very active human evolution, let's just intend that this time we bring more choice, more awareness, more trust. I am here. Breath in, breath out. So as we breathe in, we say the first word of the mantra. The first word of the mantra is so. As we breathe out, the second word of the mantra is hum. Hum. It actually translates to I am. So you can choose which version of the mantra you'd like to use. So, hum, or I am. And allow the mantra just to flow on the rhythm of your breath. And we will go for a few moments, few minutes in silence. And we'll meet again here. Now, if you would imagine or feel that this mantra is originating in your heart. So it's your heart that's speaking the mantra. You might notice your breath shifting. Remembering that the heart center goes all the way to the spine, the back heart, drops below the lungs, wraps around. It's a large, energetic container. So as you breathe the mantra from your heart, begin to feel. So this mantra has allowed us to open up space to still the mind and create this place where we can go deeper. I am. Have always been. A witness of life on this planet. I have made many agreements through my soul's journey through time. And therefore, in some regard, I am not surprised. We are not surprised that we sit here at this great turning of the human dream. I am. I am. But this time, we have the opportunity to bring more conscious choice. And at the same time, we have the opportunity to clear and purify our soul's lineage. Cellular memory is active. Your cellular memory at the level of your heart is very active now. So in this moment, in our beautiful container here, we allow the feeling sense to come forward. And the inquiry here is, what agreements from the past am I now able to consciously clear, resolve, complete, so that I may find myself as a clear channel for however I choose to express myself at this time. What agreements from the past that may be considered obstacles to a more clear, conscious, loving choice of how I will move through this, what expression I choose, what is my service. Allow yourself to dream. Feel, allow the heart to be the portal much information flows forward through our feeling sense. Allow that to clarify for you today. I am. Remember, this day you are choosing. You might be choosing forgiveness. You might be choosing grief. You might be choosing safety. You might be choosing rebirth. And for some, a choice to deepen even more into the unknown. Anytime we invite a clearing, a purification at the soul level, there are many, many layers. And we just work with the peace we get today. The peace we might be able to create a new agreement, bring more truth to, or simply release it through the body with the breath for now. We look for sensations of tightness, sensations of shutdown, sensations of heaviness. The heart speaks to us in sensation. And we know we've all had these sensations. We don't want to turn them away. We want to allow them to move through us. They may not be our own or just ours. In this circle, many, many agreements to be in service, many empathic configurations to be in service. But we must be very clear about what's being allowed to clear through us. That's why we turn to the heart, because it describes in sensation what it's carrying. And with ease and grace and acceptance, we do our peace today. Before we come back, I'd like each of you to choose an element. What's best for you right now? What's coming up for you? Water, air, fire, earth. Asking that element to assist you in further purification, in further clearing of your lineage, of any obstacles. that would prevent you from showing up at this time as clear and courageous and compassionate as possible. And maybe it's more than one element, but they are standing by. The earth is so anxious, excited, ready to help. She just desires us to turn in her direction. I am. And getting ready now, we're going to take one deep clearing breath that will signal that we're getting ready to come back into this dream of form with whatever pieces or images or sounds you heard have bringing back. But please know that we've just planted a few seeds here, and that it's been my intent in planting these seeds that you take them further into your practices, to listen more deeply, because the guidance is very clear, waiting to guide you, your very own authentic source. I know you've already gotten much, and you're continuing to agree to be beautiful, open channels. We are agreeing to be courageous and compassionate, clear, open channels. Another big breath, and when you're ready, bringing yourself on back here, where the sisterhood of the hearts gather in real time. Oof. Sisterhood of the hearts, how are your hearts?
I'm hearing that was a journey of sensational messages.
That has only just begun.
Mm-hmm. Funny, I often see pipes and irrigation pipes as a symbol and analogy to just opening that channel of sensation and opening the messages from our inner guidance and from source. And I feel like as I'm hearing all the saws and digging and things in the background, I'm just watching us open that channel for each of us. Yeah, so I'd love to just check in with everyone, and really I feel like we are here to be of service. So whatever it is you need, whether you want to articulate anything from that journey or you have something else going on from the week that you want to share or get reflection on. Did Rita knock everyone's verbal channel offline?
including my own.
Uh-huh.
I added a little strong medicine today.
Mm-hmm. Crystal Mama.
This is the crystal we take to Tatitla. And this is the crystal that brings home every year for me the frequencies of the light bodies that inhabit that space. And I turned to my crystal this morning and I placed her on my forehead, which I can't do right now again. So that I could honor my intent for the walk of purification, clearing. Actually, the word that's come to me these days is recalibration. And so in order for me at least to recalibrate at this level, and I think what I've been noticing is that the expansion of the virus is also related to the expansion of consciousness. And so that every day, what might feel like, oh, I'm grounded here in this point of recalibration, or I'm here on this marker of this journey. And then the next day or the next hour, or the next minute gets wiped. And then we feel some instability perhaps, or we want to turn to knowledge. More comfortable to turn to knowledge rather than sitting in this unknown. So it's been my observation of late that instability and that sometimes feeling ungrounded or restless or unattached or tethered is simply the expansion of time moving through us at these exponential degrees. And recalibration is happening. And it's not necessarily always an arc upward. These are this line of growth, which is unexperienced to me before, is more like a normal learning curve, which goes up and down and up and down. The down points are, of course, great places of learning and expansion, as well as the upper points. But the opportunity constantly is remember who you are. Remember who you are. Remember what you've said yes to. So I'm curious to hear if anyone landed on agreements, heard, saw, or an obstacle, or just whatever you experienced in there. Please remember that when we gather like this in little small potent groups, that the energy increases also exponentially. So once we share, Megan, what I'd like to do is just take a moment, just maybe a couple of moments, to close our eyes again and just really ground into what we agreed might be a shared platform or shared space, time and space. Like, okay, we agree to be in this time and space with each other, and see if we can bring a word or two to it.
Mm-hmm. So I can feel myself still navigating between that like sensation channel and any words to describe that experience and those agreements. And it felt like that in the meditation itself, of like I could hear agreements, but then it was almost like they didn't stick or stay, because it was happening more on the sensational energetic level. And so I felt this like just huge like outpouring of gratitude, that even in the midst of, like, I'm just like watching my little plot of Mama Earth be dug up, and watching like all the parallels of like how as with humanity we've like dumped our shit onto her, that's also happening in my little plot. And just feeling the gratitude of the physical helpers who are arriving, that plumbers are here, and I don't know what the guy's called. The excavator dude is here. My husband is on it.
Bodhi must be so excited.
Bodhi's more interested in digging in his dirt in his bike course than in the shit pile. He's a smart boy. And then just feeling the, I don't know, just like the earthly piece of this. And so what I was hearing with agreements, you know, for me, this word inherited. So it feels like I've inherited these sewage problems now 3 times. That once it was like 100-year-old cesspool that had never been upgraded, and then we were in a rental where the town septic system hasn't ever been upgraded, and now in this house with pipes that we inherited. And I was just feeling this like, what is that inheritance I have? Just, I could picture myself like coming from formless into form, and like crossing these like lineage ley lines that were not mine, and taking on those, and just seeing these like intertwined cords. And so there's some images of just like stripping and untangling these cords without, like, it doesn't feel personal to me in the sense of I don't know, I don't have like a lot of emotion around it, or I don't even really care what the specific agreements were, but it's just like this sense of like, oh, this is what we do as humans, both on some energetic level, and then as we grow up in our families, that, you know, that makes an even stronger imprint and impression that gets stored in our DNA. So just feeling this sense of like, oh, I've inherited these lineages, and I've inherited agreements from, you know, my parents and our society around abundance and flow and earth and work and all sorts of things. And I can feel, when you were asking us to keep coming back to the I am, of just choosing to put my attention on myself as something larger than whatever individual agreements have like stuck to me. And I've been really struck by one of my clients said to me the other day that when people pray to angels, that they're not always using like the language of angels. Like the language they understand the best is emotion. And so she's like, it's kind of like if you went up to McDonald's and you're like shouting through the window what your order is, and you don't understand the mechanics of like, no, just drop into that sensation of like, here's the vibration that I'm calling into my life. And then they're able to assist. And I'm like, that's to me just like a beautiful metaphor of being in the sensation of what I want to experience now, and then just allowing anything else that's not resonating with that to be cleared or released in whatever way that happens, which I don't need to know or understand. And so for me, it feels like it just also untangled. Like I've been watching myself with feet in multiple worlds this week, whether it's the spiritual, energetic, and the practical, or having a foot in kind of the whole Sherry coaches who are like responding to what to do versus this kind of soul-based, how am I paying attention to myself and taking care of myself and showing up into service, but maybe it's not so action-oriented or solution-oriented. And just like allowing that surrender of, okay, I don't know what the big picture plan is or the big strategy is, to just show up each day and each moment and check in on what needs my attention, or where do I choose to put my attention, and just see what unfolds. And you know, the if I had to translate a message, it was like, oh, the work that we're doing on this clearing level and on this reattunement, recalibration level is equally, if not more important than whatever we're trying to do in businesses and outwardly. And so I just kind of like saw my week as like, oh, there's pocket of time when I have committed to show up or accomplish something, but the rest of the time, I don't know, and I don't need to know. So thank you for that. Thank you for that attunement. I can feel a lot of it too is just like the brain being rewired or patterns being rewired. And so, you know, there's a lot, like I could literally feel as we were shifting our energy to womb versus heart. And I don't know, something else you said that I could feel things shifting on like a cellular nerve synapse kind of level.
So that would be the primary reason to do what you said you were instructed to do a few minutes before. Is that there's a recalibration.
Yeah.
That we can't know.
Yep.
We can only experience. So action is important in small bursts, as long as it's balanced with exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Allowing that to happen.
And I spent some time yesterday doing the like, okay, like, what am I doing? What's the plan? I went through my journal of all the different like really strong messages that came through, and I'm like, I was just laughing because it was all like intent and potential and pleasure and happiness. Like, just keep following those things, and I can feel part of the like any kind of disturbance in me is really because I can feel there's my mind trying to make sense of it or make some plan or figure it out or have a to-do list. And then there's this other part that's coming online that's asking for like a new way of navigating and being. And because my mind can't like focus in on exactly what that looks like or how to do that, there's that sense of like fuzziness or, you know.
Yes.
like, whoo, how does this work? And so I can see from today just allowing, just allowing that to happen and trusting in it kind of cracks me up because when we go on our spiritual paths and we say, well, we don't want to be in whatever, such a masculine mode or so mind-centered or egoic, and then when it starts happening, and that means you have to let go of that way of perceiving and that way of operating, then that's to me when that like wait a minute, that's not what I thought or that's not what I expected. So
Exactly.
yeah.
You found words. Those are good words. Thank you. Those were good words. Very clear.
Rita, your words today were just so timely. That whole process was so timely. And I just thank you so much. I needed that. You knew that. I needed that.
Well,
I needed every single bit of it.
Thank you.
When you, at the very end, when you said to connect with an element, I have a card deck that Megan inspired me to create. This is a card deck of my divine guidance. So every bit of my guidance has a card, including, oh, there's Mother Mary. And so it's sitting right next to me, and I thought I'll just pull a card until an element comes up. And this is Mother Earth. So she came right before fire. So it's like, I think of fire as just cleansing.
Yes.
Cleansing. Oh, goodness. So, I've been thinking a lot, and we can talk more about where we are or what we're doing later too, but I've been thinking a lot about the journey I'm on and what I committed to, what I said yes to. And what does it all look like? And it's all shifting. I mean, it's shifting, changing, but really the mission is the same, the commitment's the same. And I asked, am I still committed to this journey with the Blessed Mother? And I heard, absolutely, that has not changed one bit. But maybe how it looks has changed a little bit. And I forget what the exact words were. You're going to take the same messages and maybe serve it up in a different way. And so I was sitting with that yesterday. I'd sent Megan a long email, just a little bit about what I was doing and thinking about and trying to parse out all the pieces. And sitting there and thinking about it, I said, you know what, to Mary, to the universe, I know what I'm here to do. I know I'm here to be this person for you. I don't know how it's going to look, but whatever it is you want me to do, I'll do it. I'll do it. You decide how it's going to look. You decide how it's going to show up. I'll do it. And your ceremony or process, that meditation, I feel like it just locked that in there, because as I was sitting there thinking about it yesterday, I said, just let me know. Just let me know how it's supposed to show up and what it is I'm supposed to do, because I'm all in. Here are all my chips. I'm all in. And so I feel like what you did for us today was my divine guidance's response to that, maybe on a much deeper cellular level, just kind of working in there, clearing clearing with some fire. Everything that gets in the way, my ego, my doubts, my fears. Just clearing and clearing and clearing so that I can move forward. Because I know for all of us, for me, but for all of us, this is go time. This is it. This is it.
So what you do for me, what you just did for me in this very equitable exchange is you are like the embodiment of commitment. Like, wow. Like I see my commitment still wavering.
Well, let me just say that I waver too, because I still have, yes, but I feel it very strongly now.
Yeah.
I will do this. Just show me what's the Renee way of doing it.
I feel like to me, your commitment is like the depths of the ocean. And there's some like little waves that come up that you, of course, like occasionally pop up into and bob around on.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it doesn't matter. Like I literally have goosebumps because like the depth of your commitment is so huge and so strong. And I can feel the shift in you of like saying, like what a difference from a few weeks ago of like, should I be doing this? Am I going to do this? How should I, what should I say in this email to just like show me the way, right? Like you have made like such a deep agreement of I'm going to let go of my mind and my ego and my opinions and just say, I'm here as your instrument. Like, what can I do? How can I be that channel to share this message? And it's so beautiful. Like it just makes my heart so happy to watch that part of your mind like surrender and just say, okay, like tell me now what.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a great example.
And show me, and let's do this.
Yeah.
So Renee, the word that comes when you speak, what you just spoke is the word devotion, the quality, devotion. And through the purification that I've been going through the past 10 days and recently using fire, moving through the elements, I was brought back to a more clear understanding of a more clear image of devotion at this level. Like what's called for now in my desire to express devotion, and that's still coming in. There was a couple of images and ideas, but I was comparing it to a time in my life when I was really fearless and out there and really doing my service for many years without a doubt or anything. And when I asked between the difference between now and that time, it had to do with a certain level of devotion. So I have to go back to my devotion room and sit and begin to weave what is my devotion practice now.
Yeah. And I'd like to get to fearlessness, but I'm not there yet. And that's why I ask, just, okay, help me despite myself to step out there.
You are. You are.
Thank you.
You are. Not if or when. You already are.
I call a spiritual advisor every now and again when I need some clarification on something, and my main question was not related to this, but she tuned in to me and she said, whoa, you have a huge mother energy. and she knew that already, but she could just feel it, and she said, this is time. It's time. Your time is now. So you start to get out there any way that you can, because people need it now. Yeah, yes.
Mhm.
I hear you.
So I replied to your email right before this call, Renee, and
Mm,
one of the things I loved was just like, I feel like so much of what we've had in conversations with all of you has been like, what is that strategy? And I feel like right
yeah.
now it's like throwing away that long term, like, what's the big picture and how am I doing this and how does everything line up? And being really present with now, like, what am I being asked to do now? What am I feeling inspired and called to do right now? And for you, when you said, oh, I just need to start, doing my Facebook lives or going online and posting and doing those things, it's like, yes, and allow that then to tell you what is the next piece of
Yeah.
doing a paid offering or bringing a group together, right? And it's like, it's that same thing, like, show me the way. Like, just take that one little actions, like those smaller actions, where you do have a lot of people at home, you do have a tribe of people who are waiting to hear you as that messenger, and let that evolve into whatever that paid offering might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Danielle, the advisor, had said, I hear the word transmissions, and you're going to give people transmissions.
Mm.
And I thought, okay, well, transmission could easily be a channeled message, but maybe it's something else. I don't know. I would love to ask the group, and it's something that we could maybe respond to later after everybody's had a chance to talk. But what's my transmission?
So let me make sure I understand your question. What is you, Renee's transmission?
Yeah.
Like, what are you transmitting?
To people. How will I transmit it? What am I serving up? Is it just a channeled message? Is it a video? Is it a combo plate? I don't know. What's my...
So my answer is not to put a form on it.
Okay.
So that, like, to me, transmission means it's like a radio tower, right? You're like receiving information and you're sending it out there. And it's such a beautiful word. It's going to have a different meaning to each person. And I think when you have someone in front of you, for one person, it could be a channel message, and the next person, it could be an energetic download, and the next person, it might be an energetic clearing.
Yeah.
And it's really just like you showing up and being in service in that moment to, like, whoever's before you, and whatever that, coming from, I'm going to use that analogy of like back here from Mother Mary or from guidance, like, what is coming through in that moment that that person most needs.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And you're just like turning the dial to, like,
Yeah.
the perfect transmission for that exact moment in time for that exact person.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Again, thank you, Rita. That was very timely and just what I needed.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm like seeing you with like little antennas coming out of your head. It's like beep 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 beep, like the Renee channel broadcasting.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have, after having time to read the email, if you have like other questions, just loop back and let me know.
Okay.
So during when we first dropped in, I just felt all of this energy that was not present for me moments ago start to come into my body or unearth itself. And it settled in my heart and chest. And it was, so it was almost like as if when we brought the earth energy then into our womb, there was some sort of activation and almost like a release of energy. And the energy that settled in and around my heart was really uncomfortable. It's only now starting to dissipate a little bit. And so it was uncomfortable. And I remember being super aware all of a sudden of everything in my immediate environment that was annoying me. And I was present to the heat all of a sudden was too hot on my little heater. The light was blurring on my eye, and there was just this discomfort. And what I realized was that while all these things might have been uncomfortable, it was almost like this, I was realizing I was like distracting in a way from the discomfort that I was feeling in my chest area. And so then there was this moment of like, okay, well, I'll just sit with this and breathe. And that's around the point where, Rita, I think you brought in the mantra. And so I watched myself because I was like, all of a sudden I was like, great, we're going to do this mantra. And this mantra is going to dissipate this energy. Mm. And then it was, again, this deeper invitation to like, what if the invitation is to just be okay with this energy? Like to just be, instead of let me do this breathing technique to release the energy, what about if we just like come into relationship and harmony with the energy? So I was just really having this dance and present moment with this discomfort. And I have no idea what it was. There was no story that arose from it. There was nothing. There was no dialogue. It was just this heavy elephant on my chest that I could either distract from or I could just get really present to. And so that's what I did. And probably a little bit of both in different moments. But anyway, so I just sat with it, and I did the mantra still. So I was doing the mantra and I was sitting with the energy. And then when you mentioned the agreements, I felt all of a sudden this jolt of energy, like in a lightning bolt or electric shock, kind of like mad scientist. And I felt this recalibration and rewiring occurring. And all of a sudden, I was catapulted into the very real present realization, which I had a couple of days ago, but it was like I had forgotten it. And that was that I feel, I'm going to try to articulate this, that for me, post Avalon, I know I've shared that I did this, fulfill the karmic destiny, that post Avalon, I feel like I have actually completed my soul contract on the planet. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that's why I feel like I'm dismantling fairy light, because I feel like I've completed my soul purpose. And what was really amazing about that realization is after that, I felt completely karmically clear. And I had this moment where I got to make a conscious choice, and I got to choose, do I want to stay on the planet? Do I want to stay on the planet and keep going on, or am I complete? And I got to make that conscious choice. Mm. And I chose to be here on the planet now, in a really actually really joyful and excited, affirmative yes. And so it was in that moment with that electric shock when you said agreements, Rita, all of a sudden I felt that bolt, and I saw myself, and I saw that choice point again, and I saw myself almost re-anchor into my body, and that conscious snapping in of, that's right, I'm choosing this, I'm choosing to be here, yes. And it was just the most embodied feeling that I've probably ever had.
Wow.
So, Diamira, when I had my eyes closed as I was doing the meditation, but I kept feeling your energy off in this right-hand part of my awareness. Like I felt you spark. I just like you were little like bombs and fireworks going off. It's so interesting. It's like, okay, and then it would quiet down, and then okay. So, but I just want to say real quickly, without getting into a whole story, and we can explore it further if we want to. What you just said is so important. Is beyond important, because you basically just affirmed that you're safe being in a human body here now. Okay, and that may sound simple and that may sound, well, obvious, but for so many humans, they haven't made that choice. For so many humans, it's not safe here. It's not safe in a body, and it's certainly not safe now. And that creates that vulnerability, to transition, which is obviously that soul's choice. But just that statement is profound in terms of what then rolls in behind it, right?
Possibility.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
That's beautiful.
That was a statement of commitment. Renee's was a statement of commitment. This is all happening, unfolding really perfectly.
And my element was fire too.
Yeah, okay.
Fire.
It just came and like burned everything to the ground, like just burned me, and it was great. It's still burning.
I did a fire ceremony this weekend with just my husband and another friend, and oh my God, the fire was so hot and so fast. It was just like so fierce, this fire. And I put in a lot of prayers and intentions in this kind of and I've been rolling through all of this old stuff, and it's like and the fire it just blew me away. And yeah, the fire element now, I want to do them weekly for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever way you can manifest, whether it's in your fireplace or in a shell with some sage, whatever you can manifest for ongoing inviting of fire, do so.
I was seeing some fire ceremony for, I don't know if it's this group or a bigger group, but like going back to the fire pit and really, burn it.
Yeah, I'd love a virtual fire ceremony if you could arrange that.
Yeah.
You did that before, didn't you?
We did that when we started the group, where I built a fire out in the pit, and it feels like, I don't know, I was like seeing the doors open, and almost more like it was even more at the fire pit. Like the last time I built it at the fire pit, and then I was sitting here obviously in front of you guys, but this was more of like, yes, come over and maybe say something or give an instruction, but it was really like the ceremony itself.
I got the name. The Sisterhood of the Fire Hearts.
I love it.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Okay. Diamira, I also just want to acknowledge this, because when I met you, and I don't know how many years it's been, like 3 or 5 or something, like you were so up here, like you were really floating around. And I think you and I talked about that, about like finding that way to like come down through your body and anchor into the earth. And when you were verbalizing what you just said, I was like, oh, she did it. She actually like chose to be totally embodied and to work through all these different pieces. And it was it was like such a yes inside of me of like, oh, like to be free of saying I've committed this karmic piece and then I'm saying yes and staying here. Like, to me, that's like such a exciting place, because it's just like clean slate. Like, now what do you want to create, right?
I did it. That's how I feel, like I did it.
Yeah.
Now that's what I feel, just this absolute sense of joy and freedom. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, I can create whatever I want.
Yeah.
It just
Exciting.
has to be aligned with my soul. Oh my goodness.
Like, there's the fireworks. Yeah. Super cool. I feel like I'm just like watching this tabletop, and all these like pieces are just being rearranged for everyone. And it's just like everything's just like reconfiguring in so many different ways. Yeah, very cool.
And that underneath it all, what's being chosen is embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
For so many of the times that we chose that it wasn't safe here,
Mm-hmm.
this is really a resolution of those other agreements.
Rita, I don't know if you saw this. I don't even know where I saw this, but I saw some image in like a fairly mainstream channel. It was an image, I think it was from Barcelona, and all the doctors and nurses were lined up against the hospital walls, and they were meditating.
Yeah, I saw that.
And like the comment was kind of like, the age of Aquarius has actually arrived when you're seeing in like a mainstream medical institution that that's what they're doing. And I don't know, that just came through again around what it is you're creating.
Yeah, that little blip on the screen that I got about returning to my revisiting my freebie in my toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down with it last week and I just said, I'm sitting down for an hour and a half. I'm doing this, and if it's real, then it'll come through. If it's not, I'll know it. I just need to know. And it recalibrated and reformed, and I got excited. But then when I was talking to Megan about it, I was like, I got this image of, and actually just when you mentioned it now, I got this image of all of us in some way directing, aiming at the medical profession now. And, Megan did say very practically that, but I don't know if they have the bandwidth, and that's true. But maybe right now it's just our silent prayers and intentions for them. But it still feels like to me like the uppermost group of people with the biggest needs, with the most current needs, that level of needs from where we can put our attention. I don't know how that works out, but kind of moving between the spreadsheet and this formless place that we're in. I'm very much what Megan said about just inquiring, what is it that I can do now? What is it that I choose to do now? And that now is not like a vast period of time. That now is like this moment, right? What's important now?
Mm-hmm.
And each time it's almost like I don't have to ask that question mentally anymore, because I've given my body the agency to direct that for me. Over the years, it's like, oh yeah, oh okay, you're telling me what is now, what is needed now, what I'm doing now. And so this time of greater spaciousness that we've had in these past few weeks, has just only given me more of that permission to be led by my sensations, by my instinct, by my intuition. And I am having to bring some structure in. So mine has been, you know, and if I can do this for an hour and a half, what wants to come forward?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I'm addressing that. And working with clients, though, it's changing rapidly. God, it's just like, you know, I just have to show up in every moment with each individual because their needs are different than they were a month ago. What they're expressing or wanting, and I would say all across the board, I just really hold space for embodiment. I just hold space for the realizations that we have come to today, and you know, really recognizing if you know, it's really basically recognizing who is the master here. Who have you chosen to be the master, right? Because we can't serve two masters. We can only serve one master. And so clients come, and if they're still, you know, worshiping at the altar of the Almighty Mind, that's going to be so discombobulated. It's just not going to be coherent. The coherence lies in this dropping in. And so the more that I reflect that to them, I'm changing the way I work. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, it's kind of a roundabout way, but I'm changing the way I show up for people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not happening in any prescribed way. Like, I didn't describe how I want to show up for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, this is how I have to show up for this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even really let go of, you know, are they coming back? Are they continuing? Is this going to be you know, is this going to be a viable way to support myself? You know, it's just like, this time just says to us, show up in this moment with
Mm-hmm.
what you've got. And that may change the next moment. But what I've got now, this is it, you can have it. And it may not align with what we were doing before, trying to, you know, work you out of your stories, because we don't got time for that. Shit's happening and it's real now.
Uh-huh. All right, I want to make sure we check in with our Linda.
Yeah. I keep hearing her.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
So, I just got a message on my screen from my grandson. So I got.
Oh, I know how that works.
Oh, I can't see them right now, and it's making me crazy. But
Hmm.
anyway, so Rita, when you came to the agreements part, the agreement that I sensed I was completing or done with or whatever was, I don't matter.
Mm.
Still working through my personal life. So, and it was very powerful as I just kind of held those words in my hand and turned it around and looked at it. Because it's been very true for me that what I want or what I prefer, what, you know, is always secondary. So I felt a real like cellular rebuilding around that. And I'm very grateful for it, because your mind can say, I'm done with that. But when it comes to you like that as a message in a meditation, for me at least, it feels real. Like, oh, okay.
Yes. Yes.
Now it really is complete. I've been saying that, and I've been working towards it and all of that, but like I'm actually not built to believe that I don't matter anymore.
Ooh, I just saw that as a meme. I'm actually built
Hmm.
to to not believe I don't matter anymore. That's
Yeah.
like a whole and complete statement of
Yeah.
power.
That's what it felt like. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm done with that. It's over. So that was very simple and also incredibly powerful today. And the mantra of I am, I just switched it to I matter
Mm.
as we went forward from there. And yeah, that word embodied came to mind for me also, you know, like I'm embodying the fact that I matter, the
Yeah.
truth that I matter. So yeah, that was very profound and very meaningful to me. So thank you
Good, good.
for letting that have a place to land. I've been in a little bit of a creative flurry the last few days, so I haven't meditated, and I feel like it's been like hovering, right? Like waiting for the opportunity to drop in, and I'm really grateful that you provided that today so it could land.
Very good.
Yeah.
Serving embodiment all around.
For sure.
I'm also hearing the inverse of your statement. I am built to matter.
Mhm.
Yeah, that kind of crossed through my head too. And I'm working on a YouTube channel and also a program to replace the retreat that I was going to do that now I'm not doing, but I've been talking about YouTube for probably a year and a half, and I keep putting off doing anything about it. And I think so much of it was just around the idea that no one cares what I have to say, right? Like it's not worth the effort to try to build a YouTube channel because no one's going to listen. And but if you're built to matter, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different way of being and a way of and a whole different way of thinking about your message and the delivery of it. So yeah, it was just pretty cool all the way around.
I'm looking forward to seeing some Instagram. Like you have such great, clear images. You are built to matter. You are not built to not matter.
Write that down. I'm built to matter because you're right. It is going to show up on the Instagram feed at some point. I finally learned how to use later and schedule things so that when I'm creative and I have like all these ideas, I create them and then I get them scheduled. And so I don't need any for a couple days, but it'll show up for sure.
Good. Mm.
Rita, do you want to loop back around to the
It's perfectly
closing?
Clear. It's perfectly clear.
Committing, grounding.
So whether you close your eyes or not, just become aware of the sensation that's in your body now. After you've spoken, shared, experienced. So there is a powerful vibration moving through us. And maybe my words initiated it, but the level of its intensity is due to each of us, each of you, feeding, contributing. So we can imagine and feel the power of the circle, the power of the group, the power of the more than one, and the power of the more becoming one. So that unity. So it's not so much about how the individual expression is going to move out from here, though that is important. What now feels like the point, the touchstone right here today, is a sense that we know that it is each one's contribution. It's not even contribution. Here it is. Okay. Okay. So it just takes the invitation. We're going to keep doing that with each other. Each one will have an invitation that the others can rise to. That is the group dynamic. So what has happened today and where we want to focus and continue to intend is this obviously resounding agreement, resounding experience of the choice to be in human form, to be in a human body, to choose embodiment, and therefore to make it safe to do whatever it is that this human is ready to express. So we choose embodiment. We choose to be here. And from that comes a coherence. So let us take a few moments of silence to connect our hearts where the coherence is being experienced. I see you. I feel you. My choice to embody mirrors your choice to embody. The Divine Feminine has always been about the journey through the material. She doesn't reside on high. She doesn't reside apart. She's always been about the nourishment that is taken from the earth because we live on earth and the provisions that she has made for our human life. So it comes as no surprise that as we embrace the Divine Feminine in her exploding resilience at this time, we choose embodiment. That's her invitation. And we have accepted it. en masse here. At the same time, it just really also changed the nature of our gathering. It up-levels our interaction. I feel even more accountable, desirable to be here. We just really did up-level our exchange. And what comes from this very potent now. We are sisters in embodiment. Thank you.
All right, my sisters, my friends. When we close our moon lodges and we have called in energies and elements and awarenesses, we say at the end, stay if you will and go if you must. So I'm gonna make that invitation to all the energies that are meant to continue to support us and guide us in these next few days and weeks. Stay if you will and go if you must. All right, chicas. Love you all. Thank you, Rita, for the channel and the guidance. Look at that Colorado
Beautiful.
dream.
The wind just came through so strongly through my window. I know we were heard.
Wow.
Mm.
So clear.
To our mount. I don't know if you can see out. See it.
Mm.
We got all of our mountains.
Oh,
Say hello to your mountains.
Hi, mountains. Bye, loved ones. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you for this opportunity to channel.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah. Enjoy your bodies. Enjoy your creations. Enjoy your expressions.
Ciao, Bellas.
Ciao, bellas.
Thank you.